All right. Hello, Sagittarius. How's everybody going? How's everybody doing today? Hopefully your day is going well. Good to see you. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. We're going to be taking a look at all of the energy coming through for the month ahead. And really excited today. I've been getting some interesting messages around, look at that yawn, looking at some messages around birth and rebirth. And I feel like you're in a month here of shiftment. I'm going to put this puppy down here so I can focus since he's a little tired. As I said, we're going to be focusing on movement and shifting and growth. Let me just kind of let you know what's going on. First of all, welcome to your monthly reading. I get a lot of questions about how this can be used. So right here, you'll see that it can be used for sun, rising, moon, Venus, really any aspect of your chart that you happen to know. So feel free to watch any and all of my videos. A lot of times folks will come through just because they want to see what's happening in the channeled portion or because they want the meditation. You're really welcome with each reading that I do because I channel for whoever shows up. But I'm focusing specifically on trying to bring messages for Sagittarius today. And again, we're going to be looking at opportunities. I'm all about empowerment. So I think that everything that we do here is a way to open up channels. You'll notice that the candles haven't been lit. We're going to light those in just a moment, but let me just talk about the format and then we'll light the candles together. So channeled messages are how I start everything off. They come through dreams and meditations, also through the research that I do in the morning. And so I'll share that with you first. Then we'll go along to the Celtic Cross. The Celtic Cross is basically a way for you to see everything that's available to you. And I don't actually kind of just focus on relationships there. It's whatever needs to come through in the main Celtic Cross read. Then I'll expand it to take a look at health, wealth, love, and destiny after that. Big idea, which follows, is just something that we can really focus on to be successful in the month ahead. And then it gets a little interactive in the latter portion of the reading. We'll do a viewer and reader's choice, look at the blessings and the blocks. And then I always like to round out the readings with a meditation and a final card that you can ask basically a question on. So you just meditate and I'll pull a card. So that's the overarching formula and sort of layout for today. While I'm getting everything set up here, let me go ahead here and just remind you that we're going to start off with a meditation. Not a meditation, but a benediction. Basically, whenever you're working with cards or anything esoteric, it's actually a benefit to set intentions. So on days where I'm really busy with my slides, I think, well, we'll just do it together. And it's actually a good practice to get into. So let's go ahead and light the candles together. Probably half of my videos per month I do this. So you lucked out today and we're going to do it together. All right. We'll start off with the first candle here, which is going to help us connect to source energy. So source is going to be different for each and every one of us, but just consider it wherever you kind of go to in meditation, whatever you see as the universal life force in the universe. I'd like to call on that energy right now to bring us light and to bring us guidance. Please bless this reading today. And then on the wall behind me, I have 4 candles. For each of those candles, I typically like to connect with archangels. Not everybody works with archangels, so you can also work with ascended masters or anything in your particular spiritual practice that makes sense. I usually work with Michael, Uriel, Gabriel, and Raphael, among others, but in these readings, they're easy to remember, and I kind of go to them. Good to start off with gratitude when you do this, so I like to say thanks first for all of the protection that's already here. I like to say thanks to the archangels for being here even when I don't realize you're here. Today I'm specifically asking for guidance and protection from Archangel Michael. Please keep this a safe space for all that are present. Please block out any energies that are not of the highest good. Archangel Raphael, allow this to be a place of healing. Allow all the messages that come forth today to be of higher energy and a healing sort of potential. Archangel Gabriel, one of the most important when you're doing reading or writing. Archangel Gabriel, please bring forth the messages that we all need to hear. Allow me to be a clear channel and allow everybody to be open to receive those messages. And let's see, we did Michael, what was it? Michael, Gabriel, Uriel. It's Uriel now, yes. Archangel Uriel, please come through and give us the direction that we need. Help us also avoid any distractions so that we can stay on point and on path here. Okay, so that's a simple benediction at the beginning. Again, thanks to all of you also for showing up. Gratitude is a great way to begin any reading. couple of notes before I begin. If you're brand new here and you like what you see, at some point, remember to hit the subscribe button. It's free. You only have to do it once. Thanks to everybody who's already done that. The thumbs up button is something that you can do once per video versus once in a lifetime like the subscribe. So hit that once as well, and then we can just relax and enjoy the reading. If you want reminders of when I go live, another place that you can kind of get those is on social media. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and of course here on YouTube. If you'd like to join me, please do that. It's a great way to show support. I also post pictures of my dog and other things on Instagram, like my hikes. So it's a great way to see other parts of my life if you'd like to. If you need information on the schedule, it's right here. And it's basically my website. I'm going to go ahead and give you that link before I forget about it and get in the middle of all of this. So give me 1 second to post that and pin it, and you'll have that for future reference. So there you go. And let's see. And then finally, if you'd like to show a little bit of support, you can always do that in the form of super stickers and super chat. This is completely optional, but it is a great way to give back a little bit if you enjoy the content that you see here. So there you go. That's everything in a nutshell. Okay, so let's get back to the reading here. We're going to, like I said, start with the channeled messages. Channeled messages for me come primarily from dreams. And I had some really interesting energy last night with a scarab beetle, basically kind of sneaking around and then basically showing itself. So I do think that there's this opportunity for growth on the horizon. Let me get the picture-in-picture set up so you can see me. There you go. All right, so basically, as I said, there's a few things that we're going to look at, as you can see here. The beetle actually brought me to the sun god, Khepri, I believe is how you say that. And then we're going to just talk a little bit about Three of Cups energy, which can be word of mouth, family tradition, words that travel, and the power of words that travel this month, because that's something that's kind of in your wheelhouse, something that can bring you opportunity, okay? So basically, why is all of this coming through? Well, because you are on the precipice of change and movement. Whenever I see a beetle, whether it's a scarab beetle, a fig beetle, or anything, to me it typically portends shifting, moving, changing. And I typically see that kind of change and movement as opportunity. It's not necessarily bad or good. It's just like the death and rebirth card here. By the way, this one is from the Light Seers deck. So this is probably my all-time favorite, because this actually kind of looks like one of the angels of transformation, which would be Azrael. And I've seen that particular angel before, and it kind of does carry out the traditional archetype. If you've ever seen Azrael in a dream, or you've seen the full body sort of apparition of it, it doesn't reveal its face. It's just a shrouded or hooded figure. And it's very kind, actually. It's a very beautiful, loving energy, but you never really get to see its face. There are other angels that I've worked with, like Zerachiel, that actually will take on an anthropomorphic form, but not Azrael, at least not in my experience. So anyway, what I like about the way this one was portrayed is, I think it's because Azrael is pretty much beyond the energy of embodiment. In the book that I wrote here on the side, which is science fiction, the luminous ones, I've had different experiences with different ascended masters or angels. Some angels they're beyond that. They're just energy. And I think this is one of those. Change doesn't have a form because it's constantly shifting. That's why I made my angel of death a shapeshifter. That's what death and birth is for us, right? We move from one shape or form into another. That's it. If we just saw it as shape shifting and energy shifting, we wouldn't be so afraid of the process of death or overwhelmed with the process of birth. We're constantly doing that as a soul. This is one little segment of a long continuum in our lifetimes. So in this particular month, you're going to be asked to go from one of those links or segments into another. It was indicated or symbolized by a window in my dream. And instead of coming through like that, Azrael came through as a scarab beetle, basically just sort of like symbolizing the change and rebirth. So scarabs were sacred in ancient Egypt because they had seemingly magical qualities. We'll talk about it in just a moment. Also, because they work with dung, which, might sound weird, but what's kind of cool about it is it's fertilizer. It's like for anyone that's been a gardener or, you're working with horticulture, you know that it's important to take rich soil or medium to kind of like feed things. So these beetles basically work with that fertilizer, and also they would seemingly come out of nowhere, out of that sort of dung ball that they created. So that gave them the appearance of being supernatural. But what's kind of cool, and we'll talk about this in the moment, is to make something from nothing. So remember that there could be a happy surprise on the horizon. When people see this card in tarot, they're like, oh my gosh, I have to look at the other cards around it. If I see an Ace of Pentacles and the Wheel of Fortune and Death in the middle, I'm like, wow, you've got a change of fortune coming. It's not necessarily bad. In fact, oftentimes it's a necessary change. Death is usually easier to take than the Tower. It's just saying something's done, something new's starting. So this card carries both, and you see the infinity symbol in the middle, which is showing that it's just part of a continuum. Okay, so something exciting's happening for you, but there could be a sense of surprise or something that you need to look a little closer at, because had I not looked, I wouldn't see the beetle moving from the floor to the wall going out the window. It was trying to kind of sneak in and out. So I think that there's this hidden opportunity, this something that's kind of coming around the corner, and the more aware you are, the more that you can manifest, the more that you can control it. Thus bringing us to the next card, Khepri, the sun god. And I'm probably more well-versed in Egyptian or Norse mythology than Egyptian. I know a bit, but I'm going to dig a little deeper because I forgot that this was actually a beetle, this particular god. And I think we put a lot of energy around Ra, but apparently Khepri is another one. So what's cool is the root of the name. Again, I'm not going to keep butchering it because I don't speak Egyptian, but it means to develop or to come into being or to create, which I think is so amazingly cool. And of course, the sun card in tarot can carry with it many of those same connotations. You see the baby on that. So the baby indicates a birthing, a renewal. It also is kind of our ego and our charisma on some levels too. So if you can be playful, be engaging, have some fun with sort of like what's possible, then I think other people are going to have a lot easier time engaging with you. So to me, if I were to meet someone and they had the sun energy, they would light up the room. They would be the sort of like center of the party. So if you have something to talk about, if you have something to sell, if you have something that you're trying to bring to people's attention, remember the importance of smiling. Remember the importance of body language, of how you're speaking, the tone, all of that. So this is saying the more inviting you can be, the easier it's going to be to step into that new situation, okay? It's for any of you that have had to be like the new kid in school. When I was a kid, my parents between the second and third grade, they moved me across to the East Coast. I live on the West Coast now, and I originally was from sort of like the Western states. But anyway, when I was moving, it was to me, I thought, oh my gosh, I did stress out a little bit because you start to make friends, but it probably was the perfect point. But yeah, in the third grade, I can't remember the age, that would have been like 9 or something, 8 or 9, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in that range. I was the new kid. And I carried that moniker for a couple of years because everyone else had this rich history and I had this fresh, clean slate, which was actually good for me. And I've talked about it in previous videos because being able to step into that new window meant that the stuff that was bothering me and holding me back in the old school wasn't holding me back in the new school. They only saw potential. Where I was at previously, it was not a great school. And they kind of pigeonholed me into the wrong thing. I actually was kind of bored and not challenged, so I would act up sometimes in class. But the new place, they were way ahead of me. I had to catch up. I had to apply myself. And I went from like a BC student to a straight A student. And it was just because they expected more and they never talked down to me. They always pushed me up a little bit. So push and elevate your energy. You don't need other people to lift you up. You can do it yourself. And I never kind of stopped rising after that. So had I not stepped through that, who knows what would have happened. So thanks to the universe, to my parents and everything for moving me across the US so that I could have a rebirth. We can do it at any age. I was already, almost a decade into my existence, and then I changed. And then many of you know that I, worked corporate work for a while and then left that about 7 years ago, almost 3/4 of a decade. Every 7 to 10 years, we have this sort of metamorphosis. We can change. We don't have to die and be born again to do it. So this is your chance to step into that. As I said here, there's this sort of magic that happens with the scarab where they thought it was just like abracadabra, it came out of nowhere. So you have this a capability this month to step in and create, which is why we see this progression now from like death to the sun to the empress. So not only can you be reborn, but you can also be the creator of things. And I could have just as easily put the Queen of Wands here. It's all fire energy and all sort of divine feminine energy for the most part. So kind of a nice continuation, by the way. If you haven't seen the weekend reading, this would be a good time to remind you of that, because we talked about opening doors. So this is nicely paired with that. And that main topic is a timeless topic. So even if you watch this long after the opening of the doors is done with that reading, go back and listen to it. It'll help you out. All right. So just as the scarab can come from nothing, you can create something abundant, even if your resources, inspiration, or support is not scarce, is scarce. Let me just edit that. So there we go. That's better. So yeah, even if it's scarce, you still have the ability to make something from nothing, okay? Don't be scared of the scarcity. You have the ability to kind of go into that and shift it, mold it, change it, okay? See yourself as the infinite source of new ideas and opportunities. Only your thoughts can basically limit your potential. Of course, there may be limits with respect to money or people and things like that. There could be some tangible things, but if you share your ideas with others, or if you reach out to others, basically the sky's the limit. You have to keep reinventing yourself. Control is going to be a big piece of this as well. So when we look at solar deities like Ra or Apollo or anything like Khepri that we talked about earlier, they have to move things across the sky. A lot of times we will see them moving it with a vehicle of some sort. The chariot, of course, would be the natural connection. We even see the solar light in that card, the yellow behind it. And so basically it's asking you to take the reins of something that you care about. Sometimes you are the absolute best person to do something. There might be room in certain parts of your life to delegate, but if there's something that you're very passionate about, oftentimes it's you that's the one that needs to kind of step in front and lead the charge, right? So don't be afraid to step into that spotlight, and remember to be the light. A lot of times, particularly if we're in a negative workspace or family, or there's just been a lot going on, you have to sort of like just turn this light bulb in your head and think, this is going to be great. Today is going to be great. I can do this. Just like a sports person would do before a game, whether it's a coach or a teammate, you kind of have to rev each other up and basically cheer one another on. So be your own best cheerleader, okay? And finally here, the power of words is going to be essential to success here. So I don't remember how it came to me, but the guides this morning just said like it was word of mouth, or I could see the words kind of going from person to person. So I wrote a little note and I'm like, we need to talk about word of mouth. So 3 of Cups can be great energy in your life. It basically, if you're a small business, this can be the equivalent of like a Google or Yelp review. If you are someone who is just getting started or something, it could also be a reputation, a good reputation where people are saying something positive. Oh, you should check this person out. So I see 3 of Cups and word of mouth being positive. There's always a little asterisk with this to just make sure that because the word of mouth is powerful this month, that you make sure that if you're saying something that shouldn't get out or that you don't want others to hear, that it would be better not to say that, because I see the words carrying. So don't engage in gossip, and don't give a lot of weight to rumors. They're not going to be worth the energy, right? Okay. Storytelling. So one of the most important and effective and sometimes overlooked ways of getting someone engaged in what it is that you want to do is the story that you're telling and your personal sort of journey. So there's a reason occasionally, I don't go into deep detail, but it's nice to sort of let people know where I've been and how I kind of got to where I'm at, because it helps contextualize things. So for those of you that might be working on something really cool, and it could be consumer based. So let's say for those of you that are doing a business proposal or something, or a launch of a new thing, behind the scenes stuff, BTS type stuff behind the scenes is really cool for people to see, because it gives you an understanding of how much research and development went in it. Sometimes you'll see this for cosmetic companies when they're talking about like palettes, how they tested all these different things and how they got to where they're at. Same thing could go for a movie. People love to see B-roll, behind the scenes, anything, blooper reels and things like that. So even in a pitch or like a celebration, to kind of have that blooper reel could be also very good, or a sizzle reel if you're going to show this off to someone else. Tell the story, get us engaged, and really it kind of goes back to how we as a people began, because we didn't have computers. We didn't always have writing or language in the way that we do now. So it was an oral tradition. We would gather around the campfire. We would tell stories of what happened. We would teach through the stories. And so whenever you're communicating something, put a little bit more into it so that it is kind of like that campfire energy. And maybe remind people of how far you've come. So we don't want to like weave endless stories, but a little bit of storytelling goes a long way. And one thing that you can remember is that you can maybe be starting a new sort of storytelling opportunity, or starting something new in your life. Everything starts somewhere. So what's the story, and why should I care about that? If you can't believe in that story, it's going to be hard for others to be engaged with it as well. So you should really be, of course, I feel like I say this all the time, but I'm going to say it again. Authenticity is so important. So it's better for you to tell a story that you're living, that you're breathing, that you're believing, than one that isn't you, that is sort of something that you're projecting out there. And in the age of social media, that's really even more important, actually, because there's so much constructed reality around us that the more real you can be, and the more powerful you can be in what you believe, then it's kind of, again, like the sky's the limit. So I'm going to try to help you today be at that forge of opportunity and see what kind of things come through for you. Okay. So let's see. I'm being drawn to the Lightseer deck because of that beautiful death card that I was looking at. So today I'm just going to make the choice for us because it feels right. And when I was looking at that card, I just thought, yeah, we need to use this one today. So Lightseer's Tarot for today's reading. Again, if you just joined, perfect timing. A quick reminder of where we're at. We're going to go straight into the Celtic Cross. And just like I wrote here, you can use it for your sun, rising moon, and Venus. And with that being said, let me just focus on the table and we're going to get started. All right. Welcome, everyone. It's good to see you. Thank you always for bringing great energy. This is one of the favorite signs to read for. I know a lot of people who are Sagittarius as well. So let's see what's going on for all of you. There's that change right at the top. We can see the tower. I'm inspired to use one of the new decks that I got here for the Catalyst, because, not the Catalyst, but for the Destiny card here. Because when I started using this yesterday, I thought this would make a really good Catalyst here, or Destiny card. Okay, so let's take a look at all that's coming through for you. All right, we're going to begin here with the Catalyst. What a cool card this is. And with all the Egyptian mythology that we talked about, when I look at this one, not only do I see a box, but I also see the pyramid. Can you see it if I kind of hold it on the angle there? It gives you that sort of three-dimensional view or illusion of sort of being able to you could either go within or out. And I never really thought of the pyramids like that, but what if we were to invert them or poke them in or kind of, so you're seeing it basically as being a portal, which is what I like here. You're being asked to not constrain yourself in a specific way of thinking. You're supposed to go to the highest possible potential. Back in Egyptian times, I've actually seen some reconstructed photos of or illustrations of what the pyramids probably look like. They had paint on them originally. Obviously that wore off, and they were capped by either metal or diamonds or something beautiful at the top. So they look a lot different than the sort of beige pyramids that we see now. But this point at the top, at the apex here, is basically showing me that there's something really worth the journey that you're on right now. I don't want you to lose sight of that goal that you're trying to manifest. And realize that oftentimes we are so stuck at looking at one little section of what's in front of us that we're missing maybe what's on top or what's beneath. So I really want you to think of it on all dimensions, on all levels, inside out. So this is a time to be super innovative with your line of thinking, with your process in general. Just basically don't be afraid, okay? So, wow, it's amazing. Also, there's a lot of different things that the pyramids have been thought to be, whether they're power centers or, again, some other sort of dimensional portals or whatever. But there's something cool about them. No matter what, we can say that they are, I would say, first and foremost, they stood the test of time. There's an air of mystery about them, and we can agree that there's a lot more than meets the eye. So with you, I think that whatever you're starting to do in your life, make sure that it does stand the test of time. We see so much disposable things every day now, from sometimes what people are using to eat their food and throw in the trash, which hopefully you're not doing because it's causing havoc in the oceans, to the way that buildings are constructed, where clearly they're not meant to last for more than like 100 years and then you got to keep rebuilding them, to even just like this disposable stuff that we put out in media. There's a lot of stuff where there's nothing that kind of has the steel, or in this case, the stone sort of foundations to stick around for a while. So make sure that whatever you're doing has that foundational element. It's good to have an element of surprise and mystery to what you're doing, and push through the box. There's much more out there. You're supposed to be a little bit rebellious. You're supposed to think outside of the box, okay? Let's look at your spread. Let's just take a broad view of everything, and then I'll home in on things. So definitely change energy with what I'm seeing here. Change for the positive from what I'm seeing here. Some choices that you need to make, also good. Some good shifts in relationships. Overall, the energy is pretty positive. And if I'm going to see a change card like the Tower, I like to see it reversed, and I like to see it in the sort of uppermost position there. So let's go card by card. So far, I like the sort of overall energy. We have the Nine of Pentacles here, smack dab in the center. And this card reversed is often saying, I want to do it on my own. I want to prove that I can do this on my own. And so for many of you, I would say there's this reminder that you don't have to. It's good if you can, and it's good that you can, but right now there's a chance to sort of like open up and really just sort of like let opportunities come in and let support come in if you've earned it, basically. I think sometimes it's just hard for us to say, sure, come on, or I need help with this, what do you think? So you've proven to yourself that you can be independent, but make sure that you don't miss out on something that could finish the task earlier. Maybe there's even some criticism that could help you kind of go on an even faster route than you're on. So I just see a new opportunity on the horizon and a quicker way to do it. For abundance, I'm really pleased with all the cards that are on the desk here, because we have the Nine of Pentacles here and the Queen of Pentacles here. So this means that you're actually on the uptrend when I'm looking at money and resources and opportunities. So yay for that, okay? But Nine of Pentacles, fiercely independent, fiercely self-sufficient, oftentimes to a fault. So we're going to avoid that fault energy. What's going on here? We've got the Emperor crossing that card. The Emperor card is fantastic. It's basically saying, all that I was talking about with the Chariot, but on a higher level. This is saying, I know who I am. I'm not afraid to speak up for myself. I'm not afraid to take the reins back. And I'm going to push back on anyone who feels like I don't have something valid to say or add to this equation. It's because you actually do. This is a very strategic card. It looks like he's almost sitting on Mars here. And we're looking at him with a chess piece here. So one of the important things to think about is not just what's going to be a short-term gain or win. What's the long-term purpose of what you're doing? I've talked a lot about the importance of like Two of Wands and the High Priestess. So knowing what you're going to do, believing that you can do it, and then just letting it unfold. The Emperor card is even more than that. He's 2 to 3 steps down the road. He's not just thinking of what's next. He's thinking of what's beyond what's next and what's beyond that, beyond the beyond the beyond. So this could be a really good opportunity for you to sit down and strategize and maybe work with someone that could poke holes in the idea or somehow challenge some of your perspectives, because that's going to strengthen it. You'll be able to do the research. You'll be able to basically firm things up a little bit so that you can be even more confident when someone asks you, what do you think about this, right? So 9 of Pentacles, you've worked really hard. It's starting to pay off. Leadership opportunities coming through, but perhaps also just this a little bit more comfort for you to step into the power potential that we're seeing here. So be comfortable with that potential and see where it takes you. We see some stress here in the deep past, so let's talk about this. We have 9 of Swords in the reverse state. So the 9 of Swords can be something that you could be putting onto yourself, like, how am I ever going to get this done? What if people find out that I'm not worthy, that I'm not capable? Again, the reversal is saying that a lot of this stuff is just up here. And so there's an opportunity to flip the thoughts around. I've talked about this technique, but anytime the card comes up, I like to remind you of it. A good way that you can transmute fear is through using a question and then making it a positive. So instead of thinking something like, I'm going to fail, change it to, what if I succeed? How cool would that be, and what would I do with it? What if I actually get through this and it's easier than I thought? That's a halfway step between not failing and succeeding. You're thinking, well, maybe it's just going to go a lot better than I think. What if I even surpass my expectations? What if I succeed? So do the what ifs and make them positive. Feel the negative first. Feel the, I'm not good enough, people won't like me, and this isn't going to happen. Then change it. Think, I think I'm good enough. What if I am good enough? What if this works out? What if people receive this? What if I'm the block? What if it's just my own acceptance that I have to work on? Let's go with that, and let's see what the universe shows me, and let's see how much pushback I get on it. So you just need to turn your thoughts around. You have the kernels of opportunity there, but the lower frequencies are coming in, and they're trying to kind of like keep you where you're at. It's like a weight on a balloon, and we just need to snip that so that you can go and reach your highest potential. All right? It's good to have some butterflies. It's good to have even a critical view of things, because if we take a look at the table here, this is the strategy. And in order to sort of strategize properly, you have to think of worst case scenarios. So this is saying, I really do believe in what I've got here, but all right, let's sort of plan out. What if the resources fall out? What if we get some negative feedback? What if the deadline isn't met in time or whatever? So you can kind of do that, and then you plan around that so you don't have any fears. So you can use fears to plan, and you just come up with contingency opportunities, contingency plans. So fear is not necessarily bad, but it has its time and its place, and we like to use it more as a tool than as something to kind of constantly be living in, okay? So that would be my advice on transmuting the energy of discomfort with change, because even though we didn't get the death card is what inspired me to use this deck. So change is a big part of today, and one of the things that happens when change comes through is like, what if it doesn't work? So we're just going to think, what if it does work? All right. One of the things that you also want to be focusing on with 9 of Swords reversed is getting some of the thoughts out of your head. So if you are afraid, just talk to someone about it. It can just be a friend. It can be a family member. If you feel like you want to talk to a professional, always do that, of course. Whatever you feel is necessary for you to just kind of get it get the energy out there, because once you let it go, you feel better, and then you invite someone in to hopefully help you work through it. One of the things you could say too to make sure that they're not reinforcing your fear is, this part of whatever it is you're going through makes me uneasy. Have you ever dealt with something like that? And if so, how did you do it successfully? That's a good question to ask a mentor. Say, I'm feeling uncomfortable about trying this out. It can be about love too. You can talk to someone like, I want to tell this person how I feel. How did you tell your special someone? So just solicit some positive advice too. Set the tone and the expectation that you're looking for help, not negative reinforcement. Okay? That's what we're looking at. The only other thing that can come through with the Nine of Swords card anywhere in the spread can just be, how are you sleeping? And what are you doing before you go to bed? Are you watching, listening, or doing something that kind of reiterates the stress that you have in your life? If so, ixnay on that. Stop that. Do something different. Okay? This is very close to, I believe, what we talked about on the weekend. It was either that or the very last reading that I had, which is coming out of your shell. It was on the weekend. It was actually for the energy of yesterday when I was reading Sunday, but we're here on a Monday, so it makes sense. The Hermit in reverse, coming out of your shell. This reading, of course, is for the month ahead for you. So the big message here in the month ahead is that not only are you ready to do that, but it feels like you've left some of those lessons in the past year. So we have the Hermit's Lantern. This reminds me of hiking. I've recently started doing that again. So here we have probably the beginning of the hike, and this person had to kind of like go up the mountain, up the hill, and now we see them almost levitating up there. So the Hermit always holds the star energy in the lantern, and there comes a point where they're just finally comfortable enough with themselves to say, yeah, let's do this. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm ready to see what the world can offer. So I feel like you're on that precipice, Sagittarius. So I guess the question and the opportunity for you is, what's holding you back, and what do you want to do next? I feel like there's something that you've held on to, and it's past the point of needing you to hold on to it. The Hermit card can also be a form of self-preservation. So I'm sure you've all had friends, maybe if you're in school, you know, someone who just studies way more than they need to, and it's more just an escape from the pressures of social interactions or other things, like, no, I got to study or whatever, and you know that they know everything already, and it's just sort of like, well, maybe it's fear bringing them into that, going too far, but you're missing experiences by not reaching out. So whether it's someone who's burying themselves in work, or burying themselves in a caretaker relationship, or burying themselves in something, this is a chance to sort of say, I've learned everything that I need to. This is you this month, and I'm going to come out of that now and just see, and basically start to use practical application of all of these skills that I've learned. All right? Spiritual development has also been a big part of your journey. And I think now, for some of you, there could be revealing what you've learned, sharing or disseminating what you've learned as well. Okay? Let's go ahead now and take a look at your crowning card. So again, some people look at the Tower and they think to themselves, uh-oh, now what? What did I do to deserve this? Why didn't I choose a different deck? I look at this and I think, thank goodness there's some change. I'm sure that there are other readers out there that actually enjoy seeing things like death, the Tower, and the World. Well, I like the World. The World is good. But like, I want to see big major arcana cards so that I can see where the shifting is. If I pull a sign and there's all like minor arcana pip cards in there and there's nothing really moving, then I would actually push you towards the change. I would say it feels like there's stagnation. I don't feel like that at all with you. I feel like you absolutely know where you're going. The only thing that's happening here, because this is in your crowning position, is disorganization could happen, and also the feeling of being overwhelmed, almost as if you have like vertigo, right? So what we look at here is just ground yourself in some of the work that you've done in both Hermit and Nine of Pentacles stages. Don't let the fear get in the way, and then just really start to move forward, push forward with the Nine of Wands energy. But disorganization could get in the way. So maybe it's your virtual organization, your files. I've seen people before, like when I used to have a corporate job, where their desktop was their sort of dropping point for everything, and they would have like 10,000 files on their desktop, and they'd have to go to the file browser to try and find something, and it was uncomfortable, and the naming conventions were all over the place. So maybe you need to organize your virtual desktop. Maybe your house needs a quick reorganization. No matter what you do, whether it's virtual, actual, or it's just sort of like talking to someone and clearing your head, the act of clearing, organizing, and sort of like categorizing things can help you see what you've got and what you need to have. Now, there's also a nice cooperative energy here between the this box card and the tower. So this can be the process of bringing organization to chaos. This can also be the answer to taking the foundation down to its core elements and rebuilding. So you're either going to be reorganizing, because that's what the tower reversed is, or rebuilding. It's not destroying. So tower upright would be taking something down and you don't know what's going to be left with it. This is a mindful and a sort of very deliberate reconstruction, merging, reorganization. So when we're talking about things like relationships or business, there is a decision that we want to keep something and see if it will blend with something else. So if your relationship's in trouble, the tower reverse says, let's see if we can fix it. If a business is in chapter 11 or 13, there may be someone that's going to come through and see the potential and buy it and merge with it. It's not a destruction, there's a blending. So some things will be kept, some things will not, but there's always a chance to sort of emerge from it as something better than before, different than before. So you get some choices now. When you are in a sort of employment situation and there is either going to be massive hiring or downsizing or a merger or a takeover, any sort of tower reversed energy, you would be best set up for success by talking to your manager about this so that you could try to remold or affect how your future job might look. You never want to wait and hope for the best in something like that. It's always better to have a conversation and say, I know changes are happening. I know you may not be able to talk about all of this. I just wanted to throw my hat in for this opportunity, or say I'd love to do more of this, if that's possible. I'm sure you're getting inundated, but here's some things. In a relationship, you could say, I really feel like if we do this and this, that we have a shot to sort of take this to something, an amazing level. Better than saying we need to talk, just say, this is something I'd like to work on. Are you with me on it? That's so much easier than we need to talk. We need to talk. Those 4 words are terrible. I actually, even as a manager, one time I had to give someone like a spot raise or something, and I made the mistake of saying that, and they were like, their face was white as a ghost. I said, no, it's good news. So whether it's a relationship or it's your boss or you're the boss, it's never good. Choose some different words and talk about what it is that you see as a positive and what you see that can be built up again. And that's going to be where your power is. Okay. So there we go. Let's take a look now at where this is all taking you. It's taking you in a fantastic place here. We have the 9 of Wands. 9 of Wands to me is showing perseverance. It tells me that you've been through the toughest part of the journey. You've been through the stress, you've been through the chaos and the sort of dusty everything under construction, and now you're ready to push through to the finish line. The question with the 9 of Wands is, how are you holding up? How are you taking care of yourself? This particular 9 of Wands, my only critique for this artist, by the way, this is a great deck if you don't have it. It's lights here, so it's Chris-Anne. Chris-Anne does a great job with the illustration here, but I would have liked to see some sign of struggle. Let me put on my glasses to make sure. No, it's not here. So normally what you would see is a Band-Aid on the person's forehead, or some scrapes, or some bruises from the journey. So maybe she's just telling us here that I don't need to do that anymore. I'm stronger than that. So we'll take that. I like that. But there are also, for some of you that are going through the difficult parts of the 9 of Wands, here's what you could be going through. You could be feeling fatigue, because sometimes when we're really, really close to seeing something come to fruition, we second guess ourselves, we're tired. We notice that a friend, a family member, a neighbor has already gotten further along in their path, and we start to think, have I just been wasting my time? What I would say to you is, if you've come this far, why not just see it to the finish line? You have everything that it takes to make it happen. And that extra wand there could be a month, a day, a year, but it's not going to be forever. The light is definitely at the end of the tunnel on this one. So at least see it through to completion, to fruition. You're going to feel really good that you did that. In the process, self-care is important. So take some time off if you have the capacity to do that. Practice good sort of self-care routines in the way of making sure that you're getting enough sleep. If you work for a boss or someone who likes to rule with an iron fist and kind of likes to burn people out, just remember that you don't have to be a part of that. Pace yourself and give exactly what you need, because that's not sustainable. And that's something that you could tell them. Say, I'm doing all I can, and that's either enough or it's not. So I see you being on the precipice of something magnificent. You just have to push, okay? All right, so let's look at what's coming through here for you, how you're showing up to other people. Pretty darn well. Four of Wands is a foundational card, and a fantastic one at that. So amid all of these changes, we've got the Tower, which is showing there's a lot of uncertainty. We have you working really, really hard, some stress, maybe you pushing yourself into a comfort zone that you're not normally in, all this stuff going on. There could also just be someone around you that is in your business and kind of all of this. When we pull that aside, people can see that you are exuding the grace under fire. When I talked earlier about the solar energy that came through, this is what I'm talking about. People think, I want to be around that person. They have a good sense of who they are. They're positive, they're fun, they're smiling, they're engaging. The story that they're telling is something that I believe and they believe. So if you work with some of the advice that we talked about in the channeled messages, you bring about the Four of Wands. This is well, we're going to look at potential in just a moment, but this is what you have to offer. This is what people are seeing in you. And the Four of Wands is one of the best cards for partnership that you can get. It's a card that I would see with best friends, with solid marriages, with partnerships that have the capacity to really, really last. So even if, especially if you've had negative experiences in the past, that is not going to be the end all and be all for the future for you. That was just the context that you needed in order to call into being and recognize new opportunities on the horizon. If we don't know what not so good looks like, we won't really know when good comes our way and it's like, yeah, this is what I want, because I know what bad felt like. Now I really want to go for this. So, I'm using good and bad in a very generic and and overarching sort of way, but sometimes when we go through pain, loss, delays, etc., it builds character. So everything that you've been through built character and opened up windows for you. Again, in my channeled messages, the window that I saw the beetle going through is saying growth. You just have to go through it, okay? And then now looking in the environment card, we have Queen of Pentacles. She says, I am ready for this. I worked hard for this. People may have a really great offer on the table for you. There also may be a person like this in your surrounding. What I like about this queen is she's not reversed, so she's not as much of a taker as she is a giver. So I see someone around you that is there to give some support and some advice, but this is like the aunt or mom that we all want. She kind of keeps back a little bit and waits for you to come to her. And she's not going to say, I told you so, but she's really not going to just offer it up on a platter for you. She wants to see that you want it and that you're ready for it. So this combination here of the Nine of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles is the graduation, basically. So this could be boss, this could be teacher, this could be mom, this could be friends. Someone is watching you. They really like what you have to offer, and they just want to see, are you going to see it through? How hard are you going to work? Are you going to come to me and ask for help? I see a resource, a big resource in the environment for you. This also portends great things with respect to money and jobs. So if you have a lack of something, you have the ability, like we talked about with the scarab, to just sort of create abundance from scarcity. And the Queen of Pentacles is just as effective as the Queen of Wands here. Now, the Queen of Wands is a little more magical. She just surprises people constantly. The Queen of Pentacles is very much, she knows how and where to go for this. So she uses all of the tools in her wheelhouse and recreates herself, but she knew she could do it. And so she, basically what I want you to do is, I have a phrase that I use, like if I'm trying to dress up for something before I go to see if I need to buy something new or whatever, I go shopping in the closet, because a lot of times we have things that we've kind of like squirreled away. We have the squirrel up here, hiding things away. So sometimes we've hidden things and we need to go through it and see what we have. So even in our skill set, in our personality, in our life, there's always hidden potential. So I want you to go shopping in your closet here, the hermit, see what it is in your personal wheelhouse. And wheelhouse is just a fancy term for like skills and attributes and capabilities. See what's in that, what you have to offer to the world that you haven't sort of shared or you haven't sort of accessed recently, and access it. Because what we see is growth, abundance, nurturing, really great energies once you start to do that, okay? So I'm excited to see how that pans out for many of you. Let's go ahead now and look at what's coming through in both hopes and fears. So there's decisions. Decisions can be scary. Justice is when you have to make a decision. And sometimes when you make the decision, you can see yourself differently. Others can see you differently. Some of you may also be on the precipice of leaving a relationship or leaving a job because your head has already decided to make the change, but your heart and head need to get on the same sort of mental plane here. So for many of you, it's just the final decision that's coming through. Let's look at this particular card because she's pretty darn cool. What we see here is that sometimes justice sees more than we do. So if we turn it upside down, justice reverse would be standing in your truth and saying, no, or we need to change this, or I know what I need to be focusing on. She's the one that is very much awake. And sometimes when we say, it's okay, don't worry about it, yes, or we don't make the decision, that's when justice is actually blind. So speaking your truth, even if your truth means goodbye, or this doesn't work, or this needs to change, that's good. That's where your power is. Don't be afraid to say no. And equally, don't be afraid to say yes. The Justice card upright is saying, as you move forward, focus on making sure that the tables, the cards, everything, it's all balanced. So if you're putting an unbelievable amount of energy and work into something, a relationship, a job, an endeavor, and you're not seeing movement, push some energy in this direction or ask for more in return. And just say, I've been putting in, 230%. I need to see a little bit of support. I need a little bit of feedback. Let's see where we're at. So the main thing for you is just a decision. The other thing that this card is kind of pushing you to sort of decide is, what do you want? Because until the universe knows what you want, it has a very hard time delivering, right? And so if you feel it, if you push hard enough to get it, if people can see it in you, you just have to go that extra mile and say, I'm going to do this and it's going to be okay. All right. So I just see a decision that needs to be made. The good news with this, connected to this, if there's a financial thing on the line, let's say, you're in a legal battle or you're trying to buy or sell something, usually you end up on the positive side with this because the Queen of Pentacles is in the environment and we see justice upright. Let's look at your final card here. We have the King of Wands. He's reversed. And there's really, for some of you, I was just talking about the Strength card the other day. I feel like some of you might have a person in your life that just wants you to agree with them, or they're trying to put words in your mouth, or trying to push out their point of view. So just like on the Strength card, we would see someone trying to open up and almost like move the mouth of that lion. That's not going to be very effective, whether you're the one that's pushing or whether someone's trying to push you. What you want to really do is allow for, kind of like this Queen of Pentacles. She's got the right idea. I have something to offer. I feel good about it. I've put out my offer and opportunity. It's your turn. What do you think? What do you want? So know when to push and when not to push is what I would say with the King of Wands in reverse. Because everything I see today is setting you up for opportunity. But if he's too pushy, he can scare people away or come off a little bit off-putting. So basically stand your ground. And if somebody is trying to push you over, just say, no, I don't think so. Just say, I hear what you're saying, but I don't agree. I had a family member who's now passed and is in spirit, but one of the things she would say is, isn't that right? And she would try to get people to just say, yes, that's right. And she would try to wear them down. And my dad was someone who, with this family member, said, no, that's not right. And I kind of remembered his strength and his consistency with that. He would say, no, I don't agree with that. I like you, and I know what you're saying, but no, I don't agree with that. And she would just kind of like blink. So Both of them are Sagittarius. Both of them are past in spirit. But I remember that kind of energy. And that can happen sometimes. You just have to sort of peacefully disagree. One thing that's kind of cool with this is if you are the boss or if you are trying to manage something, you are going to be A-okay. You're nobody's fool, and you're going to get the job done. So just keep an open mind and try to remind other people to do the same. And I think that's going to set you up for a very successful month ahead. All right, we're going to move on to the next portion. If you just joined, a quick reminder of where we're at. We've done the channeled messages, the Celtic Cross, and the expanded. We're going to the expanded forecast next. The expanded forecast includes health, wealth, love, and destiny, which are new ways to look at what we just talked about and are special areas that I know that you all care about. Okay, we're going to begin with health. Each one of these cards includes multiple parts. So health is mind, body, and spirit. Your health card right now, we see the intertwining energy here. It's almost like a heart, and we see coming out of it two souls. And so for some of you, the card was reversed. So there could be a place where you're in a decoupling sort of energy, separation energy, an estranged energy. So what you're trying to figure out when you're not part of that is, how can I be whole? You already are a whole person, but sometimes we forget that, or we spend so much time as teacher, mother, caretaker, doctor, friend, that we lost ourselves a little bit. So this is about pulling yourself out of that entanglement a bit and reclaiming and rebuilding, as we looked at the cards here, who you are. For some of you, you might also need to get out of the box that people have built for you. So getting out of this box, breaking down the walls and the barriers, and rediscovering who you are, what you want, where you want to be, okay? As we kind of take a look at how this could affect your general health or what messages are coming through for health, let's see if this goes a little bit deeper. First and foremost, because this reminds me so much of a heart, I would say, and it's a symbolic heart. It's not necessarily your aorta or it's not talking about the physical heart. What I see here is emotional stress and chaos and emotions around the heart. So just make sure that you're taking care of that. If there's anyone in your life that tends to get under your skin, if there's anyone that's been pushing you, pull back a little bit. We see in the environment, this could be mom, boss, or someone in your life we have a lot of boss energy coming through for you. So someone who wants to try to control who you are, what you're doing, because you have this control card here at the center. So push back a little bit and find your happiness, find your sort of yourself, your core. All right, sleep and quality of sleep, and also like what you're doing before you go to bed. Stress management as well, making sure that if you need some assistance that you reach out to someone so that they can help you with the stress management. It would be good to get out into nature and into the sun a little bit. Whenever I do this, invariably someone will say, it's -3 degrees and I'm not going outside. What I'm saying is a change of environment could work too. And having lived in places like Boston, I remember that it actually could be quite beautiful to go out on a day when it's snowing. You can almost hear the snow as it kind of drops on leaves. There's a nice crisp sort of energy to the air. I'm not saying stay out there for 2 hours, but like take a 5 or 10 minute walk, or just sit on the front porch for a second and look at it. Look at the ice crystals that are forming, and like there's beauty in all nature. So don't use a snowstorm, rainstorm, or the only thing that I give you an out is if it's like a tornado or if it's windy and crazy. No, forget that. But like rain and snow can be beautiful. Not all the time, but go out and just kind of experience the elements a little bit. For me, I need to get away from the lights, the technology, the cards sometimes, and just be a person in the world, right? And I think all of us need that sort of energy. So ground yourself and get outside a little bit. I think it would be helpful. And so because it's wintertime, and one of my big complaints that people will give me is like, it's cold, it's raining. Change the environment. Go somewhere different, or maybe, like read a book or watch a movie. Go somewhere else in your head, but it's even better if you can go somewhere else outside as well. All right, there needs to be some organization, like I said. in your house or in your head. And so you just may have too much stress going on and it's hard to concentrate. And this card can come through with migraines. So the stress or the lack of sleep could be bringing about migraines or things of that nature. So just try to focus on stress management as well. You have some good friendship and good resource energy around you. So I like that. Making a decision is the most important thing to sort of like really bring about positive change. So until you're internally ready to say, yes, I want to do this. Yes, it's going to happen. It's not going to really happen. So if you keep thinking to yourself, well, I'd like to work out more, but then you just turn over on the couch or something, it's not going to work today. So what you want to do instead is say, I'm going to call my friend and we're going to go take a walk. It's been a while since we've done that. Or I'm going to look at some yoga videos on YouTube and I'm going to try it. It's been a while. Set a date, get the equipment ready, make it happen, okay? Standard disclaimer applies with all of my health messages here. Basically, if you need help, ask for help when it comes to anything that's going wrong in your mind, body, or anything of that nature. But what we're looking at is opportunities. And where I see the big opportunity for you is to move and to shift. So if there has been stagnation, focus on shifting from a lack of towards something where you really are committing to it. And even for me, during the pandemic, I think a lot of us were guilty of this. I just wanted to move a little bit more, but it was scary and all of that. So lately I've started to get out and hike. I don't want to go to a gym, but I really like being outside. I like walking. There are different trails. I'm in a city where I can go outside a little bit more, but if you are in the snow, maybe you can ski or maybe you can take up a different sort of winter type sport or activity. But getting outside was a key and I just feel much better. So see if that works for you, and if not, decide to do something. I had to decide that I wanted to make a change and then I had to just keep doing it. It begins with one moment, one decision. All right? That's the most important thing that I can say for all of that. And now let's go to the next piece here. We're going to take a look at wealth. Wealth is not just money, it's your life purpose, it's your self-confidence. So let's see what's coming through with respect to wealth for you. The card is about gratitude. Let me put on my glasses and we'll read the caption on this. It says, I'm thankful for this life and the opportunities that it presents. So one of the challenges for some of you right now is maybe trying to find a silver lining. How do I see the silver lining in this, or this? So I'll give you some examples. If you've ever been laid off, if you've ever been if you've ever been dumped in a relationship, if you've ever had something like a rejection happen, any number of things, it feels like, gosh, what did I do wrong? So times that when I was laid off, and it happened once around Thanksgiving time, it actually was a really positive shift because I wasn't supposed to stay in that city or in that career anymore. So it was a push for me to look in a different direction, both career-wise and also even geographically speaking. In relationships, sometimes when we have an argument and there's a split, what it does is it allows you to see yourself for all of your strengths and flaws in that other person as well. And then maybe someone new, someone better can come through. So the gratitude could be in, thank you for helping me push through this. And I'm ready to see what positive things await me. I know that this was a lesson. I'm glad that it's over. That's how I could find gratitude in something difficult. I'm so glad we're finished with that now. And I think we've all been through something where you can say that. You can always find a way to say thanks, even if it's just for the mental acuity to understand that you're strong, for the physical health to be able to maintain as you go through a struggle, etc. Find a little dose of gratitude and keep building and building and building on that, okay? Let's go ahead and see what's also coming through with respect to money and opportunity and resources for you. Change has to happen. New order has to happen as well. So Tower reversed, Justice upright. Something isn't right, you're going to set it into balance. As long as you find the balance, you're going to be golden. But if you don't, then this is going to continue to kind of create some challenges for you. I see a ton of resources in the environment that can be tapped, things that can kind of be really sort of opened up to you, but you have to be open to them as well. It cuts both ways. You are pretty darn resourceful as well. So just don't underestimate your own skills in doing that. If you're looking for something for someone, your current network is going to be the key to that. Keep building that network, even if you've gone solo, because this, to me, we've got a lot of heavy sort of energy cards here with the Emperor. Not heavy, like I would say powerful cards. The Emperor, Queen of Pentacles, and the King of Wands, bosses. So you might recently have sort of like stepped out on your own, but don't lose track or connection with some of those people that were key to that process, right? And you never know when that's going to come in handy. Also, for those of you that are working really hard, I do see sort of a top-heavy organization. If you're working at it doesn't matter what level, how big it is or where it's at. There could be too many bosses and not enough workers. There could be a glass ceiling if you're trying to step up or to step out. So this is your chance to recognize that and either break through that, or break free from that. The other thing here is you're more than what people have sort of imagined that you could be. You're more than what you imagine that you could be. So all I ever see with this is either a pyramid or a portal going down. It's a portal going up or a portal going down. I don't see a box. I just see the 3 dimensions when I look at this, especially if I kind of hold it like that, right? It's all you can see. So I want you to just, if you're in a flat organization and there's nowhere to go, or if there's a place where it's top heavy, go somewhere else because you're already ready for this top area there, okay? Let me see if there's anything else that we need to look at. I think those are the main things here for you. Keep working hard, keep up with the networking skills, and just make a decision. Let people know what you want. That's the most powerful thing that you can do in any sort of negotiation or manifestation situation, is know what you want. Again, there may be some sort of a change of command. There could be a merger. There could be some sort of restructuring. You've got this, though. Everything around this tells me you've got this, as long as you lean into that and believe that. One thing is you might have kept your contributions kind of below the surface and people don't realize how much you're doing. So speak up, push for it, wait, and if they don't give you what you want, move on and find it elsewhere, okay? For those of you that are retired, there could be a decision on what to do next with your life. Teaching, mentorship, leadership also come through. It doesn't matter. Even if you're retired, you still can give back. You could teach if you wanted to, etc. So I think that covers everything for this. Let's go ahead and move along to your relationship card here. We have divine masculine energy coming through here with the peacock spirit. It says, let it shine. And I love that the heart center is coming through. And it's kind of interesting that we see a very similar energy. So we'll go real close on this. And you can kind of see this, this beautiful sort of, it's almost like 2 little feathers coming in. And we see the same energy coming through here, which is interesting. Okay, so be yourself is what we see with this. Don't try to be something that you're not. Let your true colors shine. And this is also a sort of, it's a good card for partnership, because a male peacock shows his feathers and does his little dance and everything to try to attract someone. So when I see this coming through in love for you, it shows me attraction and opportunity. A reminder that I kind of read with love with a capital L. That doesn't mean that you have to be in a relationship to benefit from this. It means that your charisma, like we were talking about with the sun card, it's the same, just differently sort of illustrated here. Charisma, energy, smile, engagement, it's going to pull things in this month for you. In short, you have very attractive energy when it comes to other people, something that was also supported with this card, the 4 of Wands. So let's look at it in 3 different levels. We're going to focus on those of you in a relationship or focusing on a person right now. It can be love, or it can be just like if it's your boss and that's your main energy, you can focus on something non-romantic. Those of you looking for love, those of you single and happy. Beginning with core relationships, those of you already engaged or in a relationship. Okay, so as I'm looking at all the cards here, one of the things that I see here are, these are both independent in different ways, and I kind of am just seeing it now here in the relationship read. And this is a very stubborn energy. So here we see independence, and here we see hardworking. What could be happening with you and your partner is you're kind of like working really hard, but it's like the chariot with 2 horses going in opposite directions. So you just need to sort of like realign, because right now I'm seeing you kind of veering on different paths. Both very happy, neither maybe including or communicating everything to the other partner. There could also be this feeling of having grown apart a little bit. There needs to be a little bit more work being put into what we see here, which is friendship. It all begins with that friendship and that love, because I see busyness, I see independence, I see 2 different directions and maybe a fork in the road. So there has to be a decision. Are we in this together or are we not? The good news here is that I see a lot to love, especially with these two cards here, the Four of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles. That basically is friendship, and this is nurturing energy as well. There could also be a question of, should we extend the family? What happens in empty nest syndrome if the family, if the children have left? What happens if you decide against children and you're kind of like thinking about all of this? So there's some questions for some of you around family size, and is there going to be a family? What are we doing with that? Also taking care of each other, taking care of yourselves, making sure that if you've committed to be there with one another, that you're taking care of physical and mental health and spiritual health, of course, as well. So even though we're looking at relationships, a lot of well-being energy comes through here. Ultimately, there's a decision here to stay or go. Both of these cards show that if you decide to stay, there's a lot to sort of like stay for. So I feel like that's good. If you decide to leave or move into a different direction, because of how strong the Nine of Pentacles and Nine of Wands are, and because of how strong the Emperor card is, you're going to be fine. It's really up to you. I feel like there is a crossroads here. Passion is something that is probably missing because I just noticed this. No cups, right? No cups. So I'm going to write this down here for the reader's choice. And I want to take a look for sure at passion, spark, etc., and see where that has gone for some of you, because it feels like it's missing here. Okay, so re-engage, reconnect. The Three of Cups that I was seeing even in my channeled messages is also about that spark that we have with one another. Okay, so overall pretty good, but there is a decision of how much you want to invest in the relationship, or if you're moving on your separate ways. The next piece that I'd like to look at is for those of you that are seeking out love. First things first, we have to look at the Tower card. You've got to get things organized. This card is saying things are a little messy, things are a little chaotic. Things are also, for some of you, there's just a lot of stress in your life that's happening, and you have to ask yourself, am I available for love, or am I really focusing more on self-development? In your environment, we do have the Queen of Pentacles, so we could have a lovely earth energy coming into your life. There could be someone also that's on the rebound or has divorced, or maybe never saw themselves in the energy of a relationship. One thing that I'd like to kind of show you in the cards here is when I see justice coming through and I'm talking to someone about love, it doesn't always mean like divorce or anything like that. It can be a lot more profound, and it could be sort of this question of, do you believe that you deserve love? This is really important for those of you that are looking for it, but it hits all categories. So even those in a relationship, do you believe you deserve happiness and love, and that you're good enough? This card is saying, yes, you are, and yes, you should, but do you? So focusing on accepting and believing and supporting yourself and saying, I deserve the best possible outcome because I've been working hard, because I'm worth it. That silly hair commercial from the 80s, it had a good sort of core to it. So if you want to use a heightened version of that, would just say, I've worked hard to be where I am, and I deserve all the best in love, abundance, and opportunities. So that's a little wordy for that commercial. So that's why they just shook their head and they said, I'm worth it. So instead of that, just say, I'm ready for love, abundance, and opportunity in the highest forms, and I've earned it, and I'm ready for it, and I deserve it, if you want to say that. Okay? You are worth it, though. And I think that's the most important piece that could be holding some of you back, is believing in that self-worth. Thankfully, we don't have the Five of Pentacles, so it's maybe just when we really meet our dream person, sometimes there's that moment of thinking, did this really happen? Am I still sleeping? Am I awake? What's going on? So you're awake, you're ready, you deserve this. By the way, these could just be a lot of different people too, because this can be a Libra, this could be an earth sign, this could be a fire sign. Guess what? You have a lot of options, and you have a lot of friends that could kind of help connect you to that. So say yes to engagements. You are not at a lack of opportunities. The only thing that I'm seeing here is that you could be pulling in someone that is maybe a little bit older than you, because you're giving off the energy of maturity, or you're attracting sort of maturity. So nothing wrong with that, but could be a slight age difference or experience difference when you look at the two. Okay? I love what I see. Be yourself. I had a really cool sort of vision as I was talking about this, but some of you could just be kind of like at a pub, at a bar, at a family gathering, laughing, having a moment with someone. And it's that moment when you're not quote unquote on, when basically you're not on guard. You're just being yourself. So when we laugh, when we cry, when we're just sort of hanging out, that organic energy is the magnet. That's where someone sees you across the room and they're attracted to you in that moment. And if they are, by the way, and they come up and talk to you, that's special, because then they weren't looking at the artifice, at the projection. So have some fun, have a laugh, have some engagements and some parties and some things. Get out there. That's how you'll meet that special someone, not necessarily through swiping. Although that can work too. But what I'm seeing here in my head as we were talking, I saw like a little gathering, a little laughter, and someone seeing you laugh. Okay? All right. For those of you that are single and happy, you've got some great energy coming through this month. A lot of progress with work, common thread that I've seen with a lot of different signs when I do this part of the question. So looks like I see movement going on here. And I think that some of you might be deciding to leave a job or leave a house, and you're moving on. And it's for the better here, because we have the King of Wands card here in the outcome. So you're going to exit things stronger than you were going into it. And I see you leaving this feeling of stress, isolation, headaches, and chaos behind. And instead, we see friendship, we see opportunity, we see balance, and we see a really good confidence coming in. So if you're single and happy, good for you. You're doing a lot of work on yourself, and I support that. All right, focusing now on the Destiny card. We have the Son of Arrows card, and I actually just pulled him the other day here. Looks like Apollo looking for some food. Arrows is swords here. This card is saying that in Destiny, when we're looking at what things are kind of coming through, that it should actually be getting easier. So this goes into the whole idea of abundance, not scarcity. If you have to dig too much, if you have to push too much, it's not the right road. And the universe is telling you to read the signs here. So a delay could be the universe trying to say this way, now this way. So your path may not be a straight line. It could be diagonal, or it could be curvy like a snake. Just go with it and see where the universe is guiding you. Less resistance, more abundance. Less scarcity, more opportunity. And that's what Destiny's bringing forth. Okay? Okay. So just a revisit of the organizational spread for today here. We just went through the expanded forecast. The next thing on the list is the big idea. And you're asking me, what is the big idea? The big idea is something to focus on to be successful. It's kind of like an elevated version of the lovely catalyst card we had, which was the box. So how can you get out of that box? How can you get through the changes that are coming through? How can you really make the decision, as we kind of summarize all the big sort of movements here? Three of Cups. What a great and not so surprising card to come through. I think someone helped me identify this before. It was like the Pleiades or something that we see here. So nice divine feminine energy coming through as well. So the big idea here is to do what I just talked about, to get out there, because there's something waiting for you in engagements, in social engagements. I definitely saw that and felt that. And even if we go back to the sort of channeled messages that I was talking about a little bit earlier, I'm just revisiting my own slide here for a second. And yeah, we have the Three of Cups. So what we saw here was using the power of the word of mouth. It's often one of the best forms of marketing, and also to avoid gossip. So those things come through as something that we should remember in this moment in time as well. And I would say for you, never underestimate your power, never underestimate the support that you have. I also see this as a celebratory card. In other words, like celebrating something happy on the horizon. So I want you to plant this seed, just like the movie Inception, but this is going to be more powerful because it's positive. So I want you to plant the seed. I am ready for something amazing to happen. What if it happens today? I'm ready for the good news. Just start to expect something really great to be on the horizon. And then as it happens, working with the energy that we just talked about a little bit earlier, you want to think to yourself, I'm worth it and I'm ready. I'm worth it and I'm ready. Okay? Good news. Basically what I see, the big idea is about good news for you. So what a nice message to come through for you. All right, let's go ahead now and move on. We're going to look at two cards that have important meanings. We're going to look at a blessing card, something that you can embrace. Then we're going to look at a block card, something that you might want to try to avoid or you want to be mindful of so that you can basically make it work to your advantage. So let's go ahead, give the cards a shuffle. We'll take a look at your blessings and your blocks. Blessing card, synchronicity with the Chariot, block card, and we have the Star. Wow, great cards. Okay, so let's talk about what these mean. We'll start with your blessing, and lo and behold, we have the Chariot, which I pulled in my channeled messages earlier, or I sort of connected the dots with that. The way that I got the Chariot when I was channeling messages earlier for the blessing was we were talking about the scarab. The scarab connected me to the solar deity in Egyptian mythology. That connected me to the idea that all the different sort of sun gods that I could think about move something across the sky, whether it's a chariot or something like that. You have to be the sort of driver of the vehicle is what we're seeing here. So what we see is you have the ability to bring it through to the finish line. So you are both Ra and the chariot, or any of the sort of deities that we talked about. You are the one that's going to do this. And sometimes you have to be the champion and also the driver. So I did that for my own book. For those of you that are musicians and you've self-released, you know that you've got to do that sometimes. If you're trying to find a house, maybe you're going to decide to construct something on your own. Whatever you're doing, I would say the important message here for you is that in this moment in time, you absolutely have the capacity to see it through. Don't be afraid to take ownership. Don't be afraid to sort of step forward. You can absolutely make it happen, okay? Also, the blessing is movement. Whatever shape or form the movement is taking, it's coming through because now is the time, okay? So I like what I see with that card. I think that some really great things are headed your way. Keep the action going. So one last thing that I would say for you, momentum. Keep the momentum going. So if you've started something and, you know, the past couple days you haven't been doing what you wanted to, just pick it up. Keep the ball rolling, and that's going to be the key. It is a middle management card as well, so if you find yourself in the middle, just keep pushing and realize that you're there for a reason. You can actually handle all that's being thrown your way. All right, now let's take a look at the block, which is unusual that it's coming through as a block here. We have the star. The star is great, but the reversed star would read as a block because it's saying, I am going to change who I am to appease my boss, my family, my fans, other people out there. I'm not going to be myself. And then instead of allowing your soul energy to elevate you, it's almost like a kite that she's flying here, then it becomes an anchor. Other people's expectations are anchoring you. Or you're going to dim your light because you're afraid to shine too brightly and outshine someone else. So don't do that. You have what it takes to make an amazing splash in this moment in time. And if other people can't support that, or if they want you to be less than who you are, that is conditional love versus unconditional. And that also is holding you back and holding you down and pushing you further down. So this isn't what the story is about this month. This is your chance to really kind of be yourself. Now, let's assume nobody's doing that sort of suppressive role. It's also you sometimes can edit yourself. So it could be fear of authenticity because of rejection that may or may not even happen. So what you want to do instead is to insert positivity proactively and also kind of like in the middle of the mixes as you're talking about something, and then put it out there in the world. When you share something with someone, let's say it is something really that you're just passionate about, just say, I love you, I care about you, something amazing's happening and I want you to be a part of it. I want you to know. I want you to be the first to hear. That set it up. The expectation's big, and the person is going to be put in a sort of corner where they have to sort of, if they don't support you, then it's sort of like, oh, then you don't support me as a person, and you don't respect the fact that I cared about you. And so you can actually set yourself up for success by letting people know how important they are, how hard you've worked, and how much you believe in yourself and this idea. And then at the very least, you're going to have a really good advocate there. And if they do have criticism, it should be constructive in nature. So put your best foot forward. Otherwise, you're stuck, right? So these two cards are related. You have the capacity here. You've got to let it shine, okay? both cards reversed. So one is telling the other one, not yet, I don't know when, but they're holding back for some reason. So I'm telling you, why are you holding back? What is the next big thing? How have you kind of limited how far you can go? Don't do that, all right? You have great potential. The block is still a blessing in disguise. All right, so we just went through blessings and blocks. We're gonna move along to a fun part here where we interact a bit. I will throw out some things for you to vote on, and then I'll do a reader's choice. So we'll do viewer's choice that you vote on, but I'll do a reader's choice while you're voting on it. So viewers and reader's choice coming up next. Let's take a quick scan of the table here as I'm getting things set up and see what makes sense. All right, so let me just slide these up a little bit. I would be remiss. I'm already going to talk about passions and sort of like that passion and spark energy that I identified earlier, but I also want to help you through some things. So we've kind of got these laid out. So I want to look at navigating change because that's right at the top, and maybe organization, but let's see. All right, so navigating change. And then I want to look at making a decision. And then I want to look at, let's see here. Oh yeah, not limiting your potential. If you make them close enough, I'll read a tie. So if you see two that are close, just keep voting. Otherwise, I'm going to pick the one with the most votes. So viewer's choice. And have fun voting on that while I look at the next thing here. Okay, so let's go ahead now. And while you're doing that, I am going to take a look at the whole idea of maybe a missing passion or spark because there was no cups cards. And occasionally I'll notice that if I see a lack of. That's still a message when there's a lack. So let's see why it wasn't showing up. All right, so the missing spark here, how to find it again. So lots of cards this month of holding back. When we have the Four of Pentacles reverse, it's finally saying that I'm not afraid to be vulnerable because we see her with all of the coins here. Usually it's just one coin. We see a coin purse in front of her heart. And what that's basically doing is protecting her from losing what limited resources or limited love or support or passion she's had. So what I want to see you move towards is like the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of Pentacles. We see that the truth of the matter is you have a lot to offer. You actually don't need anybody in your life. That's the secret here. It's nice to have someone in your life, but you don't need someone in your life. But when we're looking at love and passion, when you let people see a little bit more, this goes back to the storytelling piece, a little bit more about who you are, they can't help but want to sort of like get closer. So I would say for you, putting your heart out there just a little bit more, you don't have to wear it on your sleeve figuratively, but just a little bit more of you makes people feel more connected. And it's more authentic, and that's something that we've been looking at here. So I would say, don't be afraid to be a little bit unfiltered, raw, uncensored, real, not in a harsh or critical way, but more in a vulnerable way. And then that might evoke more empathy and emotion. Also, when it comes to making the first move, making a pass, letting someone know that you're interested, all of that when we're looking at love. And then when we're just looking at other opportunities in your life, remember you were kind of coming through with a sort of hidden energy here with the Hermit here. So stating absolute interest, I would like to be considered for this opportunity. Did you know that I did this? Sometimes even when I've talked to family, because I've been doing what I'm doing for a while, I have to remind them that I used to have a job in like management and art direction and production and a bunch of other stuff. It's like I haven't always done what I'm doing now. So sometimes if you're talking to someone, you have to reset their expectations because they may get a stereotype in their head about who you are, what you do. And so speak up and put more of it on the table and remind them that there's more than they're seeing. And that's going to help you. And that's going to help with engagement with the other person. All right, let's take a look and see how things are looking for you. All right, it looks like although it's close, we have a winner. I'm going to wait a second just to make sure, because sometimes the poll here is a little bit ahead, and I want to make sure that it finishes up before I read it. But I saw one at 37%. So at 35%, we have not limiting your potential. You guys almost wanted me to look at all three because they were very close, but we have a clear winner here. So let's look at not limiting your potential. All right, so what's coming through for not limiting your potential? Two of Swords. All right. Two of Swords is an interesting card to come through. So by not limiting your potential, here's the thing to remember. If you don't put something out there, a limit, like pointing out a flaw in your appearance, in your education, in the way that you work, if you don't put it out there for everyone to look at, they're not going to look at it. So one thing that I would say for you is don't highlight your flaws. That's step one with the Two of Swords. What people don't know isn't necessarily going to hurt them. And if you have an insecurity and nobody notices, that's your insecurity. That's okay. That's actually okay to keep under the Two of Swords and just work it through therapy, talk to friends, but don't highlight your insecurity. The other thing here is comfort with ambiguity. So some of you might just be in a space where you're not going to have everything laid out for you. There's going to be some question marks. And the truth of the matter is maybe nobody has the guarantees here. You're just going to have to see what happens. Look at Apollo in the background. I just happened to, he is so zenned out. So we need to be more like Apollo, just completely surrendering and thinking, I've got this, I can do this. So funny. All right, so I've definitely kind of created that zen with him. I hope I can do that with you. Just let it go, just surrender a little bit, and trust that everything's going to be okay. Don't highlight your flaws. Don't be afraid of ambiguity or the unknown. You're being set up for success, okay? All right, so we are now, believe it or not, at our final portion here. We're going to be stepping into meditation, sound bath, and final card. Before we step into all of that, just a couple of quick notes. First and foremost, if you like what you see here and you would like reminders and like to see some more, join me on social media. You see my name right here on all platforms. It's Nicholas Ashbaugh, except for Twitter. Remember that I'm never going to reach out directly. I don't offer private readings, so just avoid anyone that's trying to put that out there on social media. I'd love for you to stay informed of future readings. Sometimes I do impromptus here, so basically an unannounced video. And also the first week of next month, there's going to be some schedule shifts going around. So just make sure that you're subscribed, that you click on the bell, and that you like. That way you're showing some support and some engagement. You'll see more of me in the feed. And for my upcoming schedule, you can also look at my website. After the meditation, I'll thank anybody who was kind enough today to give back a little bit. I've been adding new cards into my sort of like library. So the way that that works is I kind of take what you give and I reinvest it back in the channel. So if you'd like to help out, thank you very much. And if you can't, that's okay. All right, let's get ready for the meditation now. So as we enter into the meditation, I'd like you to take one moment to write down whatever question you might have had for me. If there's something, sometimes I take a glance in here and I'm sure that there's things that I haven't been able to answer. So this is your moment to ask one of those questions and I'll do my best to try to answer it. But hold it in your head and we'll do it sort of like as a meditated question. I'm also going to give you a chance to vote on which instrument you'd like me to play. I have a crystal pyramid. I also have a singing bowl. And either of these is fine. It just kind of helps us with the meditation. The meditation itself only takes a couple of minutes, but it's really impactful and it helps clear things out. I'm looking at the Tower card, I'm looking at the Justice card, and I'm looking at the Star card. So to me, what I see is a decision to move beyond some of the chaos, some of the noise, and really create new order. We've done this version of a meditation before, but whenever I get the Tower and the Sun together, I like to imagine that you are kind of like creating a new universe. But you could just see the energy within you like you are like a sun god, for instance, okay? So close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Stretch a little bit if you need to. On the exhale, I want you to relax your body. You can take a moment to roll your shoulders up and back or take your neck back and forth a little bit just to kind of get rid of some of the tension that we naturally hold here. You can give yourself a little bit of a massage as well if you need to. All right, at this point, close your eyes. And because we talked so much today about all the lovely solar deities, imagine that you are one of those deities. I was going to say taking a ride in the chariot, but I want it to be more powerful than that. So imagine first and foremost that you're in the sky, and I want you to focus on the solar plexus, the stomach area. And imagine that you're starting to see this brilliant golden light coming through from that space. It doesn't matter if you identify as male or female. We all have that. It's a combination of the divine masculine and feminine because it comes from the solar plexus. The color itself is masculine, but the ability to sort of like see this grow is feminine. So we're bringing balance to your energy system here. I want you to imagine that you see a light and a power in your solar plexus and even in your heart center that you didn't before. And then imagine that that starts to push out around you. First, it's just far enough that you can kind of reach it. Pretty soon you see it magnify by a magnitude of 10 or 100 or 10 to the 100, and you just start to see your auric field push out as far as the eye can see until you are so bright, so strong, so powerful, you're the size of the sun. And I want you to imagine now that you are moving across the cosmos, moving across the sky, and charting your own course. Where there are dusty nebulas and clouds and chaos, imagine that your gravity is going to bring order to that. Where there's chaos in your life, imagine the same is happening. Is there someone that you're thinking about that you wish you had clarity on? Shine one of your laser bright beams of light toward that person and ask your guides for clarity. Is there something you're trying to manifest in your life and it's foggy or hazy? Shine another beam towards that and ask for clarity. Is there something you want to manifest? Just like a seed, just like a plant growing, imagine that you are going to shine light and energy on that and see the growth and abundance take shape and take form. Keep repeating this for everything in your life where you feel like you need to enhance, scrutinize, understand, release. Each ray of light is going to help you facilitate that, and it's going to amplify the function or the desire of whatever that intention is. Set your intentions as we meditate, and I'm going to play the crystal pyramid as you do that. So just relax, shine those beams of light across the planet, across the cosmos, and then when I come back after playing the crystal pyramid, I'll answer your final question. Take a deep breath. See yourself coming back into your body, imagining that if you need to, you can travel through one of your own rays of light back into your physical being, that you received the guidance that you needed as we meditated, and you're ready now to look at your final question for me. Focus on whatever it is that you need guidance on. We're going to pull one last card and we'll wrap up. So your final card is fantastic here. We have the Three of Pentacles. One thing that I like to remind folks, it kind of looks like a signal light, at least here in the United States, but everything's messed up on it. I think the red and the yellow should be in a different position because it's like red, yellow, green. So you might be sending out some mixed signals. That's one thing that I always see with this one because it does remind me of what you would see at a traffic light. So are you sending out mixed signals? Hopefully not. Because what I see here is the opportunity for recognition, development, and seeing something come to fruition. Three of Pentacles is one of the best cards you could pull for anything, really. What I would say for you is one of the things that might be holding you back is waiting for recognition from a certain person. Three of Pentacles can also be the inner recognition. I see now that I've done what I set out to do. I have the fulfillment that I need. It doesn't always have to be the other people around you that provide the fulfillment, right? The other thing here would be that some of you who are writers or creating something written or technical, whether it's, you're an engineer and you're doing technical writing or some sort of equation or development or whatever, what I see here is make sure that you record this moment, record this idea, because there's a lot of potential with that, all right? So this is very good for writing, recording, and then creating something, whether it's a book, a curriculum, or some sort of a product. I see a lot of value in that. So this is good. This is good for you. This is definitely a yes card, but a reminder that with that yes, the internal recognition is equally as important, if not more important, than the external recognition. Higher education and completing that education or that goal or that task also is associated with the Three of Pentacles. Okay? Perfect. There's a teamwork vibe on that one as well, which is a consistent theme that we've seen today. All right, so before we wrap up, just a couple of quick notes again. Please do hit a like and subscribe. I think we're pretty much at the halfway mark here for that, so thank you so much for more than half of the people that were present today hit the like button. It does help more than you believe, and I know it seems like it's a lot, but it's just one click, so thank you for everyone who did that. And subscribing as well. You can only do it once in a lifetime, but if you've never done it, it costs nothing, and single-handedly, that's one of the best ways to show growth on this channel, so please hit it if you haven't. And as you know, you can follow me on social media. I pinned the link in the comments, so you don't have to search for it. You can go there to find all the official channels. And now we're going to move on to gratitude. So if you were able to give back today, I'm going to say thank you. I want to start off my gratitude, however, with anybody that's brand new. First of all, welcome. Good to see you here. And for all the folks that have been with me for the past 7+ years, thanks for being a part of the growth on this channel. Wouldn't be here without all of that, so thank you. Also to my continuing channel members and Patreon supporters as well. I do my best to give back, so thank you for showing your love and support. All right, give me a second here, and I'm going to welcome in some of the new folks who have become a member within the past day, and also anyone that gave back today. So let's start first with new members. Let's see here. Oh, I have to, of course, because I'm live here, they want me to log in. So give me a second here, and I'll log in, and then we will take a look at this. So sorry about that. We love security, but sometimes Google goes over the top because I'm literally doing this right now. Too funny. All right. All right. Thank you for giving me a moment to validate that I'm actually myself. All right. Jacqueline is brand new and she is a star member. So thank you for becoming a star member. Sarah LaRock, thank you very much. Julie, let's see, is it Makaritz? I'm not going to try to say the last name, but Julie M, thank you so much. Mallory Hutchinson, and I think that's everyone from the past day. So welcome to everybody from the past day. Good to have you here. Let's go ahead now and say thank you to anybody that gave some super stickers or super chats. All right. So we have 3 today, so thank you so much. Melanie Green, thanks for kicking things off today. Kay Ross, thank you as well. And AB, short but sweet, and I do appreciate everybody's presence today and your assistance. If you want to give back a little bit later when you see this on replay, there's always the thanks button. And you can also take a look at my website if you need some other ways to give back. Again, it helps just to continue to put in new supplies and equipment. So thank you so much to everybody. I hope you enjoyed today. Let's see, we're on Sagittarius right now, so I'll be doing Capricorn and Aquarius later this week on Thursday and Friday. And join me again for the collective next Sunday. If you haven't heard this week's, check it out on the main channel. It's basically the featured video right now. All right, special thanks to Maria for her help with moderation today. I appreciate your time and assistance. I'm going to try to wake up Sleeping Beauty behind me after this and take a walk. So thanks everybody for a wonderful session today. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. Until the next time, lots of love and light. See you soon. Bye-bye.